Greetings. This week's new moon in Leo brings a rare cradle pattern with outer planets in air and fire signs. So there is going to be an interesting alignment with this new moon activating these outer planets, bringing in faster manifestation and some opportunities for creativity. But on the downside, it also means that if we are not focusing on what we want, we could be magnifying what we don't want. I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro Vibe and Astro Perspective for Sunday, July 20th. I'm talking about the new moon coming up on Thursday, July 24th. And that new moon will be in Leo and 2 degrees. So just within a couple of degrees of where all of these outer planets are aligning in has been in a double sextile pattern. And now the moon and sun during this new moon add a third sextile. So we have a triple sextile. That means a double trine. That means a cradle pattern, which is actually half of a grand sextile, or more than half. It's 4 points of a 6-pointed star. So that is interesting. And it brings in this capacity to envision what we want, to manifest what we want, to have things shift and manifest quickly, especially with all of these planets that are involved in this cradle formation are in air and fire signs. So we've got Pluto at 2 degrees Aquarius. We've got Neptune and Saturn together, almost they are in within a degree, but they're not in the same degree technically. So Saturn at 1 degree 49 minutes Aries, and Neptune at 2 degrees 4 minutes Aries. So those forming a tight conjunction together there in the early Aries. Uranus at 0 degrees 41 minutes Gemini, and the sun and moon at 2 degrees 8 minutes Leo. So air and fire, and as I've been talking about, we do have these outer planets in this formation for many years. So this summer, they come within a degree, maybe even tighter. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they come very close to exact with all 3 points on this double sextile being in very close alignment with one another. So what is a sextile? A sextile is 60 degrees of separation between 2 planets. And it is the point in the cycle. So when 2 planets move apart in the sky, in the zodiac, they come together. That's the conjunction. And then they move apart, and they eventually move so far apart that they are opposite each other in the sky. And all of the planets in the zodiac do this. They don't technically all get opposite, but I won't get down in the weeds here. so at any rate, most planets, a pair of planets, has this cycle where they start together in the conjunction, and then they move fully opposite in their opposition. The moon does that. We call it the moon cycle. So the sun and moon come together in their conjunction for the new moon. They are opposite during the full moon. If you notice, the sun sets and the full moon rises at the same time because they're opposite each other in the sky. The sun is on the western horizon, the full moon is on the eastern horizon, right? Setting and rising. So that's what's happening. Pluto is in that opposition to the sun and moon. Pluto moves very, very slowly, so it's just kind of hanging out there in early Aquarius for a long time, many months, and then the sun and moon come into 2 degrees Leo for this new moon in an almost exact opposition to Pluto. Meanwhile, we have also Neptune and Saturn coming together in a conjunction in Aries, which has been its own theme that I shared in depth about last week in my Sunday perspective video about that Saturn-Neptune conjunction, which is just past its most tight approach for this year as we head into this new moon. And then we also have Uranus now in Gemini. So Uranus went into Gemini very recently, and now it is in air sign. So remember, all these outer planets have just recently shifted from Earth and water signs where things move more slowly. So along with this alignment, they're also all of the outer planets, three of them and four if you count Saturn, all now in the early degrees of air and fire signs. Just think about the difference in quality between how things move, how we feel things with air and fire very quick, right? Um, especially when they come together, right? You need air to make the fire take off. And fire, heats up the air that it is surrounding. Of course, it can heat up earth and it can heat up water, but there's this sense of quickness with these air and fire energies. There's a sense of things changing, of unexpected developments occurring, especially in the realm of air, which is thinking, ideas, information, and communication. So there is this feeling of the potential for things to shift very quickly in ways that we are unaccustomed to, because we're accustomed to the outer planet energies being in these slower moving earthy, how long it takes to move earth compared to fire or air. Water has its own way of flowing, right? It needs a container. But with air and fire, you can like the spark can really something can really take off. So, and then the moon in Leo is bringing in this additional sextile, moon and sun, new moon. So moon and sun in a sextile to Uranus. So activating this planet of Uranus, which is about rapid change. It's about sudden change, unexpected developments, shifts, including shifts in consciousness. And especially because we're talking about Uranus in Gemini, we have themes of information, communication, thinking, and how we think about things that are kind of subject to this earthquake, lightning bolt level change, right? Unexpected, destabilizing developments. So we've got this energy of things being able to shift quickly, to take off quickly. And with the sun and moon in Leo, Leo is on the positive side. Leo has to do with creativity and self-expression, authenticity, sharing your light, shining from your heart's truth, being seen, right? And being seen for who you are. This is the positive version of Leo, but every archetype in astrology has a spectrum. And so, on the more negative end of how Leo energy can show up, we're talking about me, me, me. I want all the attention, that sense of ego, right? And needing to dominate and needing to be important, more important than someone else. So we also have that possibility and the negative. And now remember that there's support here for match those quick lit fires to take off quickly. Like all the fuel is there, it's just sitting there, sitting there, sitting there, not doing anything. Then you spark the match and everything changes, right? So that's what the energy feels like with what we've got showing up now. How that will show up in the world, I don't make predictions. But just take a deep breath and take good care of yourself as we move through this, because some things may change very quickly, especially around our ideas, our thinking, our understanding, the information and how it's shared, and how we process that information, how we communicate that information, and what the messaging is having to do with that. So, because in this channel we talk about self-care, it's like, well, what can you do with this energy? So I would say, first of all, take good care of yourself. Remember what matters, remember what's important, remember who you are. And secondly, remember that whatever you are feeding is going to take off. It's like the wind is blowing, you're putting your sail up, and what sail are you putting up, right? Because whatever you are putting energy into, it could be magnified. So, thinking in terms of how can this be something that moves in a positive direction, fanning the flames in ways that can take off the beauty, the creativity, the power and empowerment, and themes of what that can look like, especially coming from people power and individuals and authentic self-expression and that creative thinking. So Pluto in Aquarius can be power to the people, power to individuals, not just individuals, but communities. It's about honoring and respecting diversity and differences. So it can be empowering in that direction if we are investing in that, right? And again, it comes back to what are we choosing to put our energy into? So I would say that thinking about this, putting your energy into as much as you can, your hopes, dreams, wishes for the future, the imagined, the imagination, the visions, the dreams, right? So what it is you want to see happen, this is the time to light the match for those things. And to put your positive thinking into your intentions, prayers, if that is a thing for you. But really, like, just also how you talk to yourself. So the more that you put energy into negative thinking, fears, worries, doubts, anything that makes you feel small or frightened, um, that it's okay to feel those feelings. It's human, and we feel them sometimes, and that's fine. The ability, though, that we have, our creativity, is the part of us that can shift that can recognize, oh, wait, I'm spiraling. I'm going deeper into my fears. I am giving, fanning the flames of what I'm afraid of. How can I shift that? So, reframing any negative thoughts, putting energy into positive thoughts. This would be a great time to really just journal and write out, here's what I want, here's my vision for the world, for humanity. Here's my vision for my life, for my own creativity, for my own self-expression and authenticity. Like invest your thoughts in the direction of what you want, because there is support for it manifesting. So that is how I would think about this upcoming Leo new moon. It is exact on Thursday, July 24th at 12:10 p.m. Pacific time and 2 degrees Leo. So this will be the beginning of a new cycle, and the tone of what is aligning during this new moon, this cradle pattern that is aligning. Now, the sun and moon will be temporarily in that position. So the sun and moon both, especially the moon, move through that fairly quickly. And the sun moves about a degree a day. The moon, moves through a sign in 2 to 2.5 days. So that part of this cradle pattern is brief, but it sets the tone for the coming moon cycle that begins with this new moon. So the moon cycle that begins with the Leo new moon on July 24th, from that new moon until the next new moon, will be developing the themes of what emerged and what we are planting in terms of our intentions. So, again, positive intentions. Also, celebrate. Celebrate what you love about life, about the world, about the people in it. Do something fun, do something joyful, get together with a friend and do something fun, because that is a way of bringing in that positive energy and taking that spark in the direction of the positive qualities, because there's absolutely no reason why it has to go one direction or another. It is whatever we are putting our energy into, whatever we are focusing on, whatever we end up dwelling on is what we are feeding. So again, don't feel bad if you catch yourself. If you notice that you've been spending some time in the negative thinking, that's okay. The key is that you notice it. You go, oh, wow, there I am kind of hanging out in this space of worry or fear or stress. And so that is the moment, though, to go, what can I do different? Get up, shake it off, go for a walk, change up something. And then also ask yourself, if I'm experiencing a fear or a worry, what is the opposite of that? Right? So, so what are you afraid of happening? What is the opposite of that that also could happen, because every coin has two sides. So find a way to connect yourself with those qualities that are like the opposite of what you fear. And affirm that, celebrate that, write it out, or play some music that really makes you feel that way, that is, the positive, the opposite of what you don't want, I guess. um do something that supports that. Reach out to a friend you've been meaning to connect with, that makes your heart feel happy. um Read a book that makes you happy, or watch a movie, a feel-good movie, right? Something that reminds you of the good qualities in the world, the good qualities in human beings, the good qualities that can and just may be awakening more fully with this new moon in this rare cradle pattern with the outer planets. So do something to celebrate, do something to set clear and positive intentions, have fun, shift, shake it off and shift when you notice yourself going into some negative feelings, and find a way to reframe, and that's, it just takes practice. Sometimes all you can do is just, you know, uh, okay, this is the way it is. This is the way I'm feeling right now. I'm just going to go for a walk anyway, or I'm just going to go about my day anyway. And maybe you will get lost in some other thought. Maybe there's another thought that hasn't occurred to you yet that might, once you forget once you encourage yourself to forget the negative thinking. All right, those are my thoughts for today. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Marina Orms. You can book a reading looking at your chart from an evolutionary astrology perspective. This idea that we are awakening the positive qualities within ourselves. Book a reading with me at astrologyheals.com. And I've got a handy reference guide for all these planetary alignments, including the double sextile, the Saturn Neptune conjunction, what they all mean, breaking it down like to the Neptune Pluto sextile and the Uranus Neptune sextile. Not only what they mean, but also the exact dates and how close they come and what to expect for 2025. So that handy reference guide is linked in the description for this video. It's on my member program, so I would deeply appreciate if you would subscribe while you are there. I have a free level and a paid level if you'd like to support my work, which I deeply appreciate as well. Thank you for being here and subscribing to this YouTube channel. And don't forget to look for that handy reference guide for 2025 of these planetary alignments, of which this cradle pattern is just one moment in the bigger picture. All right, thanks for being here. I'm here every day with astrology for unshakable self care, and I will see you next time.